Have you ever wondered which states have the most people on welfare? Today we're diving into a topic that has been discussed, debated, and dissected time and time again. We're taking a look at the 10 states with the highest number of residents on welfare. About a week ago, we did a video about states with the highest rate of residents on some sort of welfare. Boy, oh boy, did that comment section get spicy. There were a lot of very strange comments. The stats showed that most of the states on that list happened to be in the southern United States. And I guess going by the numbers was proof that I hate the South to some people. There were also a lot of questions from people that were doing really bad math. Still, most angry comments asked me to show which states have the most overall. That isn't the proper way to do things because obviously the states with the largest populations will be the ones with the most people on some sort of welfare. As I looked at it, the amount of people and programs in each state differ, and it's sort of interesting. So that's what we're looking at today. These numbers come from each state's website. I did try and see if there was any number changes after a government shutdown, which is all over the news right now. I couldn't find anything from past shutdowns or threats of government shutdowns. Maybe we'll see after this one happens, or if it doesn't. Who knows? But today we're looking at the states with the most people on welfare. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, North Carolina. In North Carolina, the main welfare program is called Work First, which is part of the bigger Temporary Assistance for Needy Family program, which is TAMF. Work First focuses on helping people stand on their own 2 feet by emphasizing personal responsibility. To qualify, families must meet certain income and resource requirement levels. Those who get help from the program receive some money each month for a short time, but most of them have to work or get job training to get that money. The goal is to help people find and keep jobs quickly so they don't need to rely on welfare for long. So, in other words, the way it's supposed to be. Currently in North Carolina, 1.2 million people are on SNAP, that's basically food stamps, and 2.5 million people are on Medicaid. Now there's a difference between TAMF and SNAP. SNAP is food stamps, TAMF also includes some money for you to pay your rent and utilities, things of that nature. Number 9, Michigan. Michigan's Department of Health and Human Services, or MDHHS, oversees the state's welfare system, helping residents who need support. A key program is Family Independence Program, or FIP. I don't know if they call it that, but I always see the letters, and being in the military, when you see just an acronym, you give it a word. So FIP, one of those things that stuck with me from the military. Anyway, FIP gives short-term money to qualified low-income families with kids, aiming to help them get jobs and become self-reliant. Michigan also provides food help through SNAP, medical aid through Medicaid, and child care aid. And also they have some emergency help programs too. All of these aim to ensure people have what they need while helping them work towards financial freedom. Knowing what I know about Flint, Michigan and Detroit, I was expecting them to have a whole lot more people on SNAP. But then when you look at Detroit and how low their population is, I mean, it's like half of what it was back in the 1960s, makes sense. Currently in Michigan, 3.5 million are on SNAP and 2.8 million are on Medicaid. Number 8, Ohio. Have you ever heard of Ohio's Work First, or OOF, program? If you're from Ohio and struggling, you know this program. I imagine the entire city of Cleveland knows it really well. OOF is part of an even bigger and fancier sounding program, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, TAMF. Again, so if you're a family not rolling in the dough and have kids under your roof, Ohio's got your back with cash help for up to 3 years. That gravy train isn't forever. They kind of expect you to work unless you have a rock solid reason not to. And guess what? Ohio doesn't just stop at cash. They throw in job training, child assistance, and even a lift to work when you need one. The big picture for them is they just want to help families get their feet back underneath them and land a job. If you're in need of one of these programs, make sure you go to their website, check it out, and then talk to someone about it. Currently, in Ohio, 4.4 million people are on SNAP and 3.3 million are on Medicaid. Number 7, Georgia. Yep, the Peach State is here at number 7. Let's talk about good old Georgia. When families in the Peach State find themselves in a tight spot, Georgia doesn't just stand around. They've got the TAMP program also, but they fancy it up a bit and call it Georgia Gateway. Thanks to Uncle Sam making it rain in Georgia, Georgia Gateway swoops in to make sure you and your kids aren't living in a van down by the river. So if you do have kids and your bank account looks like mine after a week in Vegas, this program might be your lifeline. They will help you with job hunting. They will help you with job training. You can ride the gravy train in Georgia for 48 months, but after that, the station stops and they kick you off. Georgia, like a cousin with substance abuse problems, is a little unpredictable, and they may switch things up occasionally. So make sure you look at the Georgia Gateway website to, make sure you're up on all the news for them if you're in need. Currently, Georgia has 1.5 million people on SNAP and 2.3 million on Medicaid. Number 6, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has a welfare system that helps residents who need financial support, healthcare, food, and other services. The Department of Human Services, or DHS, is in charge of the system, and it has several programs. Temporary assistance programs for needy family, or TAMP, like we talked about before, gives you cash help. You have SNAP, which often is called food stamps. They provide food assistance. They have Medicaid. They also have low-income home energy assistance program that helps with your energy bills. Like all of these, you have to reach certain requirements to get this kind of help, and hopefully you'll get back on your feet. Currently, there are 1.88 million people on SNAP in Pennsylvania, and Medicaid, there are 3.3 million. Number 5, Illinois. If you're wandering around Illinois, maybe snacking on some Chicago-style pizza from Lou's and thinking about life's ups and downs, know this: the Illinois Department of Human Services has got systems in place in case you fall on hard times. They have their programs with the same snazzy acronyms like SNAP and TAMP and Medicaid. That's not really an acronym though, Medicaid. Anyway, but before you try and jump on that free money and food bandwagon, they'll do a quick deep dive into your financial scene, your household size, and even your job status. IDHS isn't just about tossing you some free food and money though, it's about a ladder that you use to get in a pinch that helps you climb out of the hole you're in. Now, while reading different things about all this welfare system, and one thing I picked up on is Illinois has a lot of ins and outs for their welfare system. That's probably why they have so few people on it. Now, 2.8 million is a lot of people, but you got to remember, the city of Chicago alone has about 2.7 million residents, with the entire metro area having almost 10 million. The entire state of Illinois has almost 13 million people. There's a potential for them to be much worse than they are. Number 4, New York State. New York State has a lot of people on SNAP and Medicaid, but a majority of them are coming from New York City. Like everything when dealing with the state of New York City kind of, just really drags them down a bit. Not always. Sometimes they do help out the state, but for the most part, their stats really drag them down. If you find yourself in the Big Apple and your wallet's feeling a little thin, don't sweat it. New York can help you out. First up, there's this thing called TAMP, which we've talked about many times before. And then, of course, you have SNAP, just like every other state. They also have the energy assistance program called HEAP. Now, it actually stands for Home Energy Assistance Program, and that's a big one, especially for the winters. They don't want people freezing to death in their homes because they can't pay their electric bill or their gas bill or whatever. I think New York might be one of those states that still has some homes that get the oil delivered to the house. That's a weird thing. They don't have that on the West Coast. I've only seen it a few times on the East Coast, where they have an oil truck actually come over and fill up a tank that you have at your house. Heating oil. It's weird. To someone from the West Coast, at least. New York State currently has 2.9 million people on SNAP and 7.1 million on Medicaid. Number 3, Texas. Have you ever wondered how Texas takes care of their own? Let's dive in and take a look. In the Lone Star State, they've got TAMP, just like everyone else, and it's everyone's lifeline when your family's running on fumes. The ones calling the shots for this in Texas is the Texas Health and Human Services Commission. They also have Medicaid and SNAP. Someone in the comment section told me that they didn't have SNAP in Texas, which every state does. They just have a different name for it. I actually had to delete that comment because people are being pretty mean to him because what he said was kind of dumb. Anyway, the whole shebang is designed to give Texans a leg up during rough times and a nudge towards standing on their own 2 feet. In Texas, like a lot of other states, they do require that you are working or getting job training if possible. Currently, Texas has 3.1 million people on SNAP and 5.3 million on Medicaid. Number 2, Florida. We've done a lot of videos on Florida, and usually it's about beaches, Disney, and dudes in mullets. Today, we're diving into how Florida keeps its people above water. And they've got all the programs like SNAP, TAMF, and Medicaid, just like everyone else. Now, one thing I did keep coming across while I was doing the research for this one, that there seems to be a pretty good effort these days in Florida to really cut back on a lot of these services or eliminate them completely, probably more than any other state in the union. They're really focusing on trying to get rid of all these programs. Florida, they got a lot of people on these programs, so I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it's like they're getting rid of them and they don't realize it's going to make bigger problems. I mean, I'm sure they do know that, but it's a nice thing for politicians to say, we're going to eliminate this. And then they never really do. Right now in Florida, there are 3.2 million people on SNAP and 4.8 million on Medicaid. All right, before we get to number one, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There is a link for that down below. Really trying to grow that channel. We donate all the money from that channel to classrooms. So if you want to help out a classroom, go over there, subscribe, watch some videos. All right, on to number one. And number one, the Golden State, California. Yeah, y'all knew this was coming. California has the most people, so obviously they're going to have the most people on welfare or Medicaid or any other program like that. The California welfare system is known as CalWORKS, or CalWORKS Opportunity and Responsibility to Kids. It provides financial assistance to low-income families with children to meet their basic needs, such as housing, food, and healthcare. They also offer job training, employment counseling, and childcare if you do get a job. Over time, the specifics of these programs have evolved, and they'll evolve in the future, but their mission is always the same: to support vulnerable families and reduce child poverty in the state. Now, I know if you watch certain news channels, they just make it sound like California's just dishing out money. Like, woohoo, show up, we'll give you a couple hundred. It's not that way. You still have to jump through hoops just like every other state. You got to go to different government offices, and that's always a treat in California. Nothing is as bad as the DMV in California. If you've never experienced California's Department of Motor Vehicles, consider yourself lucky. It's like it's run and worked by people that are just jaded and going through bad divorces, as Dennis Miller once said. In California, there are 5 million people on SNAP and 13.8 million on Medicaid. Now, they have a lot of people living in California. It's the most populous state we have. They have 38.9 million residents in California. Now, their Medicaid thing is a little high. They have different things, different programs with their Medicaid to where like children are put on it automatically. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I just briefly went over it and I know back from when I lived there, but they have a really strange amount that there's a bunch of people on it, but half, I wouldn't say half, but a lot of them don't use it. They don't even know they're on it really. So it's a little deceiving. They still have a lot, don't get me wrong. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. It's not normal and it wasn't scientific. It's just something everyone had been asking for, so we delivered. All right, everyone, have a great day. Be nice to each other.